So often we focus on our personal weaknesses instead of our strengths. So how can we shift to that focus? Dr. Jonathan Eric Carroll is here with another good word. Good morning.
Good morning.
So it is sort of the way we roll, humanity, that we think about all the weaknesses we have without really focusing on the strengths we bring to the table.
Yeah, I think we naturally have a negative bias. You know, one of the first words that we hear and notice and remember is no. Don't touch that, don't do that. And so I think we do tend to approach life and circumstances and situations with a bit of a negative bias. Nothing wrong with that per se, although I think when you capitalize on that and you spend more and more time looking for things about which to be negative, as always, if you look for it, you'll find it. And then we can end up with a relatively negative mindset. So I think it's important, and there's been a prominence in recent thinking about developing strategies for personal development as well as professional development to focus on one's strengths. Some businesses would emphasize focusing on one's weaknesses to try to bring those up to the level of strengths, but can't be good at everything. So I'm a firm believer psychologically and professionally in focusing on what you're good at.
And that does help us start to kind of expand and develop and grow if we're focused on the positive. So let's talk about learning about the joy we can bring into the world when we focus on our strengths.
Yeah, I think at the very least, you know, we kind of discover who we are. And I think that gets kind of assumed that we all just are walking around living life knowing exactly who we are. But I think that that's a little bit maybe inflated. I think we are constantly changing. It's been said you can't step in the same river twice. So you go to work and come home, you're a different person than you were. There are some core values and non-negotiables that stay the same, but our experiences definitely shape us. So knowing what we are good at can help us reflect on ourselves and identify patterns of success and really discover who we are. And I think that brings immense joy to us. Also, it allows us to connect with other people. Something I like to ask is, what do family and friends ask you to do because you're good at doing it? And once you get over kind of thinking, well, I shouldn't think of things I'm good at because that's selfish and that's boastful, and we eventually need to get past that and learn to claiming our gifts as a part of what it means to be human. And for people who are of a religious identity, I think it's important to claim that if you're created in the image of God, then we should claim our gifts because those come from God. So in any case, it's smart to do that. And one of those ways that it helps is for us to connect to people, really asking ourselves, what is it that people see us at being good at? What do we think that we're good at? And then leveraging those strengths when we face challenge. I think that helps us to identify ways to apply those strengths to help us overcome obstacles, which means we go through those obstacles a little bit perhaps more successfully than we would have otherwise, which ultimately does bring us joy. And I think it just helps us to connect with the world around us, to cultivate that kind of mindset, what's called now a growth mindset, by recognizing that who we are is ongoing and developing and expanding, and like creation in the universe itself, we're getting bigger and better every day for those of us who are paying attention.
Well, Jonathan, how powerful are those positive relationships in achieving that sort of self-awareness?
I think that one could achieve pretty solid self-awareness, or what we call self-actualization, with relatively few relationships. I think all it takes is really one relationship for a person to work on self. But obviously the more the merrier. And of course it helps for us to have a diverse group, not only our family, but our friends, people who come from different walks of life, socioeconomically, educationally, environmentally. We have people around us who have different experiences and can hold up different types of mirrors for us to see ourselves so that we become the most well-rounded people we can. And ultimately, when we do that and others are doing it with us as a community, we increase in our functioning, we increase in our gratitude, and we increase in overall our joy.
Thank you as always.
So good to see you. Thank you.
You too.